All right, welcome to The Explainer. I want to kick things off today with a pretty radical idea. What if your entire financial life, I'm talking your assets, your actions, even your potential, what if all of that could be captured in a living, breathing report right on the blockchain? Let's dive in.
So let's start with a question that really gets to the heart of why this matters. Is your credit score the whole story of your financial life? I mean, really think about it. That one little three-digit number, it's often based on old information. Does it truly capture who you are financially right now, today? I'm willing to bet for most of you listening, the answer is a big, fat no. And that's really the core shift we're talking about here. You've got traditional credit on one side, which, let's be honest, is kind of like a static, blurry photo. It's slow, you can't see the details, and the lenders are the ones holding the camera. But the alternative we're exploring is what's called dynamic credit. Now, think of this more like a live, high-def video stream of your financial life. It's totally transparent, it's happening in real time, and this is the most important part, you are the one in control. Okay, so what does this new system actually look like in practice? That brings us to our first section, a new dynamic report. So the heart of this whole thing is something called the Dynamic Credit Report, or DCR for short. And you can think of it as a summary of your entire financial world, but with three, kind of revolutionary differences. First, it's live, so it reflects your situation right now, not what it was last month. Second, it's user-controlled. You get to decide what you share and with whom. And finally, it's legally verifiable, which is huge, because it gives the whole thing real-world teeth.
Honestly, this is probably the best way to wrap your head around it. The old credit report? That's a static photo just collecting dust in some filing cabinet. But the DCR? That's your living, breathing financial CV. It's a resume that you're building, day in and day out, to prove your real value.
So what's actually inside this financial CV? Well, it's the whole picture. It starts with your identity, and this can even include something called a legal entity identifier, which is basically like a global passport for business. Then you have your assets, and we're talking everything you own. Not just cash, but stuff like tokenized gold, your crypto, even your intellectual property. After that, it logs all your positive financial moves as anchors. We'll talk more about those later. And finally, you've got filings, which are legally binding records like UCC filings that secure those assets. It really is a complete, holistic view of your worth. Okay, that all sounds great in theory, right? But the big question is, how is any of this even possible? So let's get into section 2 and take a look at how it all works under the hood. Well, the whole thing really rests on three core pillars that have to work together perfectly. First, there's a simple app that puts you in the driver's seat. You manage everything from there. Second, you have the smart contracts. These are the automated, totally incorruptible bookkeepers living on the blockchain. And third, and this is crucial, there's a legal layer that connects this digital world to the real one, making all of it officially recognized and legally enforceable. Now, one of the key tools that makes this system tick is something called a flash loan. And this is a really unique concept that comes out of decentralized finance. Get this. You can borrow a massive amount of money with zero collateral. But here's the catch. You have to pay it back within the very same blockchain transaction. Yeah, it sounds a little like magic, I know. But it's an incredibly powerful way to prove to the system instantly that you can handle and repay huge amounts of debt. You're basically building your reputation in a single stroke. And this is the engine that makes it all run. Now, don't worry, you don't have to read the code. We're just looking at a little snippet of the actual smart contract. The point here is just to show you that this isn't just theory. It's a real automated system. This is the code that's executing those flash loans and building up your credit history on networks like Polygon. And it's all happening automatically with no human middleman needed. Okay, but what about assets that traditional banks usually just ignore? Like your intellectual property or a digital creation. How does the system recognize those? Well, it uses a really clever legal category called a general intangible. It's basically a formal legal way to say that non-physical things, a digital token, a contract for royalties, things like that, are real valuable assets that can be legally recognized and even used as collateral. And this is the legal glue that holds it all together. By using modern commercial law, specifically UCC Article 12. Every single one of your on-chain records becomes what's called a legally enforceable, controllable electronic record. So what does that mean in plain English? It means your on-chain financial CV has actual real-world legal power. It's not just a bunch of data anymore. It's proof that will hold up. All right, let's get practical for a second. How do you, as a user, actually start building this powerful financial resume? That's what we're covering in Section 3. Building your on-chain CV. Okay, so first things first, you start by bringing together all your value in one place. And I want to be clear, we're not just talking about the cash in your bank account. Your DCR is designed to show a super diverse mix of assets. We're talking tokenized physical stuff like gold backs, valuable intangibles we just mentioned, and of course, your crypto portfolio. It's all about showing the entire picture of what you're worth. And this is where you start to actively build your reputation. Every single positive financial action you take, say repaying a loan on time, creates a permanent, totally verifiable credit marker. And it's called an anchor. I love that term. You can think of these as like indestructible building blocks for your reputation. You can see right here how this plays out in the real world. You execute one of those flash loans, bam, the repayment gets logged as an anchor, proving you can handle debt. You formally list your IP as an asset, boom, a UCC1 filing gets anchored, which boosts your verifiable collateral. You get a royalty payment, that gets anchored too, showing a consistent income stream. See? Every single move you make has a direct, positive, and permanent impact on your financial CV. So, where is all of this going? What's the big picture? Let's zoom out a bit for Section 4 and look at the incredible future of identity that this kind of system could unlock. The design behind this is honestly fascinating. It works kind of like a two-way mirror. On one side, you have what's called Jura. That's your side. It's your private, sovereign layer where you have total control over your assets, your rules. Then there's Jur B. That's the public-facing side of the mirror. It's what the banks and regulators see. It automatically creates the compliant reports they need for things like AML and KYC. But, and this is the genius of it does it without revealing all of your private details from the other side. So what this all boils down to is that you get the best of both worlds. You can prove your complete, holistic value to the outside financial world, to get a loan or whatever you need, but you never have to give up ultimate control of your own assets. It's the perfect summary. Compliance, but without compromise. And this isn't just theory. It translates into very real financial power. For example, using a system like this, you could secure a line of credit for a full 50% of the value of your tokenized gold. And because it's all on chain, that value isn't static. It's being updated constantly, in real time, by a trusted price oracle like Chainlink. That is what true financial dynamism actually looks like. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Right now, today's financial system only sees a tiny, tiny fraction of who you really are. But what if that could change? What if you could prove the full value of everything you own and every positive thing you do? Just imagine, what could you build? That's the powerful future a system like Credence Chain is trying to unlock. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.